Leigh Wood, thanks for coming on the podcast, mate. Since we had that conversation at the start of the year when I first met you, I've been so interested to have this conversation, and you spoke a bit about your coach. But before we get into all of that, just tell me a bit about what your life's been like since the victory against Josh Warrington. What have you been up to in the last month?
I always try to keep things the same, so I try not to stray from what I normally do. Obviously, after a fight, I go catch up on life a little bit, on holidays and that, but I stick around the same people, my family, my friends, my routine of, I try not to do too different. But life's been a bit surreal sometimes. Like, I just want to nip to the local shop, moving to a new place around the corner, and just want to nip to the Asda and get a few bits, and you can't.
Really?
It's hard.
You're at that level where it's just tough.
It's not like superstardom. It's like, I just want to grab a few bits from the local shop, and it's like 4 people stop you for a photo, and it's like, sometimes it's like, really, like, I didn't expect that. I thought I could just nip to the local shop and get my bits, but sometimes it takes longer than you expect because you get stopped and that. But yeah, I try to keep life as simple as possible and the same as it's not too different, but sometimes it's hard.
Do you still are you still doing Like, have you been training? What's that look like in the last month? Do you just not go to the gym? Do you tick over?
Normally, I have 2 weeks and I'm back in the gym, tick it over, just enjoying it. But this time, because I've trained for a full year of like intense, like it's been intense as well. So last September I was supposed to fight Lara 1, and then I got injured. So then I had a few weeks break, and then I was straight in the gym again for the Lara fight in February. Then I got beat, and then it was like straight back in the gym. Mindset was need to put this right.
And that was a quick turnaround, wasn't it?
12 weeks or whatever it was. And then Lara 2 was in the May. So we've gone from September to May in the gym. And then it was like, if you want this Warrington fight, it's got to happen quick in October. So it's like September, train from September, May, February, May, October. It's been straight through. So a year in the gym, and it's intense, like the fitness on that side of it, and the rest of it, preparing for people, watching the videos every night. It is. But so this time I've had a bit of a break. Yeah. I've been playing 5-a-side football.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So I had a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks off, just not doing lots. 3 weeks I think it is. I'm not doing hardly anything, and then my mate's like, "Come play 5-a-side." I'm like, go on then.
That sounds mad that you're risking playing 5-a-side.
I was sprinting for an hour. I'm like a Labrador. Like, I'm crap with it. Like, I can't get the ball. I'm crap. I literally I can't do nothing with it. But
just got
the
work
first
rate.
to the ball, first back, first up, first back. So anyway, played 5-a-side. 2 days later, honestly, I can't walk. My legs are killing me. But I enjoyed it. It's something different. And then the next day I went and did some training, some boxing at Clifton ABC with the kids and that, and did a few bits with them. So you just get back into it now.
Has that been a new, you talked a little bit there about getting stopped in the shop. Has that been a new thing specifically to post this fight? Or were you having that before, after the Conlin fight, the Lara fights?
So when I won the British title, obviously it was COVID, so it was behind closed doors, so there's no fans, which is, that was like hard pill to swallow, because I took like 20 years to win that British title. That was the first belt I held as a kid. Then I won it, and I'm looking around the room, and it's like, there's no one there. I couldn't celebrate. But so obviously everyone was getting like locked up and whatever, weren't allowed out with the COVID restrictions. So I didn't really see a lot of people after that. Obviously a lot of phone calls and messages and social media. I think the TV numbers would have been a little bit bigger than expected because people couldn't attend.
Right, okay.
And then there's the World Title, which was like semi-closed doors. There's like 1,000 people there, Eddie's back garden. Then after that, the restrictions got dropped a little bit, and I was getting noticed here and there. Like, is that like, just a little bit, like here and there. Like, I got on holiday, and I think, where did I go? I went to Croatia.
Okay.
Got recognised a few times, and I thought, that's strange, because I don't normally get recognised. Yeah. And then there was the Conlin fight next. Then after that, a few more. Like, in my own city, especially like near my local area as well. And then the Lara fight back in Nottingham, and then the rematch in Manchester. Then I haven't really, because I've been in the gym so much, I've not really realised. I've not really been out shopping. I'm not in a supermarket. I haven't. I take my kids out everywhere, and sometimes people are a bit more with his kids will leave him. Then obviously after this fight, I've kind of catched up on life and doing normal things, like I said, going to a local supermarket and stuff, and it's kind of gone from what I remember like before the Conlin fight to this. It's been a big, it's a big difference.
It feels like that. As a fan watching, it feels like that. Like your profile's just gone up, especially after that fight. It feels as well like the scene's relatively quiet in terms of like big names, so I think you probably hit that perfect window when you like fought him.
Little spot, where not a lot's happening. Even the heavyweights, not a lot's happening.
It's quite quiet, isn't it, mate? Yeah. Leigh, when you look back, like, so in my sport, for example, in gymnastics, the kids that start out, it's a very typical story. It's a lot of kids with ADHD, can't sit still. What's the typical like start out story in boxing? And did you fit that mold when you first got into it?
I think boxing is one of probably the only sports where there's so many different personalities, walks of lives, races, religions. Like there's so many, it's such a mix of like everything and everyone. There's no set like. Honestly, you can walk into a boxing gym. There might be a reserved kid that's quite shy, quite quiet to sit in the bag over there, but then he spars and is a beast. It's crazy. Then there might be a loudmouth kid that's. You think, oh, he's good. Then he gets in and it's terrible. It's like there's so many different and ages as well. I remember a good fighter from my amateur gym. He started boxing at like I think he was 17.
Wow.
And he ended up all right. So there's all different starting points and ability. Some people don't start as good and finish up great, and some people start great and finish up. No, don't finish up. They just quit. So. It's a wide range of abilities in that, and it's good. It's refreshing because you don't see that in a lot of sports.
No. And what were you like when you first? How did you first get into boxing?
Trying to think. So I think the first time I walked into the gym was with my brother and his mates, and my friend's dad, who used to live across the road from me, Mark Anderson. Right. I think he took me to the gym and was just messing around, and I kind of enjoyed it. I picked it up there. I was obviously very, very small for my age.
Right.
They was a year older than me. So it was like, I picked it up quite quick. For a little kid who was very, very small for my age, I think I got called Little Leigh at school. So I went with them. They was all bigger and older, and I picked it up really quick. I loved it. It was quite hard, and then I kept going. My mum didn't drive at the time, a long time ago, and my friend, mum used to take us to boxing at the top corner before my friend's dad was coaching properly. Right. I used to go for a lift, and I went one time and she said, "Oh, he's not going anymore. He's doing, I don't know, pogs or something." There's so many things coming and going. I was, "Oh, all right." And then I turned around, she went, "Do you want a lift?" I was like, "Yeah, go on then, if you don't mind." And she took me a few times, and then my friend's dad started coaching me. We lived literally across the road.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got into it, and just kept going. It's got addictive for me. It was like, I really like this, and I like how hard it is and how rewarding it can be. And then I had my first fight. I didn't really train properly till I was 15, so I started at 12. Right. And I had 12, 13, 14, 15 of just like messing about, really. Like, used to go for runs down the block and I'd take the shortcut. And I loved the sparring and the skill set of it and everything about it, but I didn't actually train hard, and I was getting results like win, loss, like just club shows. Like as a kid, like the gloves used to come up today. I used to tape the head, go on boxing training for a few fights. Like, but I just enjoyed it.
Does it make you, when you think back to those times now, actually making it to where you're at? Does it make you smile when you look back and you're like, wow, that's how you should start like that, shouldn't you?
Absolutely. I don't think a lot of people believe me when I say this, but if I could go back, with the knowledge I've got, if I could go back and experience it from 12 years old to here and do it all again, even if we take away the knowledge, just forget that and just do the whole journey again, I would, because I'd end up in the same place. Yeah. But to experience it all again and the feeling of like, am I going to do it? Am I not? Not, am I going to do it? Am I not? But like, I might not do it, but I'm determined to do it. But like everyone's saying I can't do it. Then that's that feeling of like striving and wanting to succeed and not the unknown. That journey, like I tell everyone, like the journey is better than the destination. I'm not even finished yet.
Yeah. And what role did boxing play in your late teenage years, Leigh? Was it a massive part of your life at that point? You know, as you get into 17, 18, 19, is it, right, my life revolves around boxing now, revolves around boxing? Yeah.
Since 15.
Okay.
Since 15. I'm glad it hit that point because I was that kid that was like, I didn't get into trouble at school as in like, I was never going to get permanently expelled, but I was always looking for a buzz or a laugh or excitement. And I was a cheeky little kid that just wanted to laugh all the time. And I was getting to that point where I got excluded a few times, like jumped out a window and set fire alarm off, and just little things for like, it was just fun and exciting and a bit of a clown and that. And if I'd have not had boxing, them things would have escalated.
Right, okay, yeah.
What's the next buzz? Let's take a car, let's do this. And it's like, there would have been no ceiling for me, because it was just constantly, let's do this, let's do that. And I was I still am adrenaline, but it's been channeled the right way.
Yeah.
If I'd have not found boxing, then I'd just been doing stupid things, and I don't know where the ceiling would have been for that. So all that energy and all that ballsiness and adrenaline would have gone somewhere else. I may not have got into trouble. I may have, I don't know, but it definitely would have been channeled somewhere else. And maybe another sport. I always liked motocross when I was like, I think from 10 years old. I was obsessed with bikes and quads, and I had loads growing up.
Fast.
I wish I could have raced like from a kid. When I finish boxing, I'm actually going to get into motocross.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to crack it. I love it. But I think if I'd had that instead of I don't know, box. If my family would have, like my mum and that, and could have afforded me to do motocross, I probably would have done it. I probably never would have boxed. And I look back and think, wow, I never found my passion, because I do love motocross, but I am passionate about boxing. Yeah. So it's crazy.
It's funny, right? Because is motocross, I'd imagine the barrier to entry to motocross is a lot of financial, right?
Yeah,
whereas boxing,
any motorsport is expensive.
Boxing is just different,
Working class sport, yeah. So like, I know a few people that race, and like they've all got families or dads that have got their own businesses, and they're doing all right. Yeah. They make a few quid. So
self-funded. It's all
any
self-funded.
motocross is like quite expensive. But yeah, I definitely would have got into that without a shadow of a doubt.
I can see you smiling, but I can tell, mate.
Yeah,
I can see it. Just that speed.
But, I'm smiling because everything happened for a reason, and when I got into more and more into boxing, I just became obsessed, and I had such a passion for it.
What age did you turn professionally?
23, I think it was.
23.
Yeah.
So up until that point, you were just on the amateur scene.
Yeah, so I was a bit of a late bloomer, really. I like, everything was at a later date. Even now, like, I'm 35, and I'm top of my division at 35. So it's pretty much unheard of, really. But yeah, turned pro at 23. Before that, I was amateur. I was on Team GB for a short spell before I turned pro. I was in the ABAs and said, right, you need to like basically win these ABAs when I send you to the Europeans. I was buzzing, like, yep.
This is Team GB?
Yep, and I had 5 internationals for them. I won all 5 internationals. Went to the ABAs, like with English tournament. I won all my fights up until the semi-final. I lost on a majority decision to someone that beat me as a pro. Right. Horrible fighter he is. But I'll beat him now, but like at the time I didn't really know how to fight southpaws and this style, and like I'm gonna guess it really. Just turn up and have a crack. Yeah. Beat me on a very close decision in the ABAs, and then because I lost that fight, he went on and won as well the next round. He won easier. So I lost to the winner really on a close decision. I think it was a split decision. And then went back to Team GB, like, oh, we're letting you go. We're sending someone else at the lower weight to the championship instead. It was like, I'm thinking, that's really not quite fair, is it? But I've won all my internationals. I won all 5 fights to get to the semi-finals of that. So then I left the Team GB, I went, all right, sound. Went straight to Brendan Ingles, which I knew I was going to do when I turned pro anyway. And basically said, I'm turning pro.
Right. And what is it like when you're growing up and you're a kid and you're in boxing? Is the Olympics and Team GB like put on a bit of a pedestal at that age? You know, when you're growing up, are all the young boxers thinking, right, I want to go represent Team GB, go to the Olympics? Yeah, but... Or is it not necessarily the case?
Yeah, it is. It is for them kind of fighters that have been around that. But I was never around that.
Right, so...
I was around Frotch and watching him what he did. Yeah. And then Nicky Booth, Jason Booth, I used to see them a lot as a kid. I sparred them at 15. So for me, as a kid, I looked up to them. Right, so I didn't even know about the Olympics. I didn't know they existed. Like boxing existed. That was not my head and my eyes looking at them win a British title, world title, Commonwealth title, was like European title. That was me as a kid. Path. Yeah. Right, okay. Watching Rocky as well, I was like a very young kid. Now people laugh, but like I used to watch it with my brother and like that like inspired you. Do you know what I mean? So, and there's no Olympics on that. So, for me as a kid growing up, when I got into boxing, I wanted to go to the Olympics. Yeah. Someone said to me, like, I remember, I'll never forget, was in the Working Man's Club. I think it was in Hucknall or somewhere a long time ago. I was boxing, and he said, yeah, do you want to go to the Olympics? I was like, nah, I'm turning pro at 18. And he was laughing. I was like, I don't want to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
But that was because of what I've seen and
of course.
what I was inspired by.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't turn pro at 18, but I turned pro at 23, and I was on the path to the Olympics once in a short spell. But there was a really good fighter at my weight who was always going to go to the Olympics, and he got gold, Luke Campbell. So
oh, really? Okay,
I was never going to go anyway.
Yeah.
So it was always to turn pro, and my minimum in the sport was to win a British title.
Right. And what you know, I'm sure you had mates that you went to school with that see, right, Leigh Wood's turning pro, and everyone kind of, on the surface, people will go, oh, wow, he's made it. But that's just not the reality, is it?
No,
what is the reality? What is the reality of, like, when you first turn pro, you know, you've now had, I think you've had 31 fights now.
I think it is, yeah.
31 fights. But when you're starting out and you're having fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, people are on the street are going to be thinking, oh, he's probably making money, right? But what is the reality of turning pro?
Yeah, so the reality of the professional boxing is the top 3% make not just enough money to secure your future, but to live off. Like maybe the top 5% making enough money to live off day to day. And if you think about all your bills you have to pay, like if you've got family to support, car to run, holidays to pay for, like the top 5% of boxers probably get enough for that. A lot of the rest may work in between. They get good sponsors that can help them out. Local businesses and that, they help me out, to be honest, to get by, because I lived in Sheffield Monday to Friday for 10 years.
Right.
Since I turned pro, which was 2010. Trying to work out the maths here. Yeah, they really helped me out, like Blueprint in Nottingham, Oakfield Construction. They helped me, just gave me a bit of a wage kind of thing to chase my dream and live away from home. But yeah, all the other fighters, when you turn pro, you'll fight at a low level, small hall, unless you get signed by a promoter if you go to the Olympics. But they like me, if you come from small hall boxing, you literally got to build your way up, and you got to sell tickets. You got to sell tickets. So you don't fight. Your opponent needs paying. The show needs to make money. You need paying. Your trainer needs paying.
Is that on your shoulders?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's a lot of fighters that are in that situation today. Like they'll turn pro, and so let's look at it this way. If I'm a promoter, so I've got a show, and I'm putting you on as a fighter. Yeah. So you want to fight. You want to build your profile up to a big fight, to a title fight, and hopefully win, and then get signed. And you've not been to the Olympics. No one knows who you are. I'm the promoter, right? You want to be on my show. So I need to make money off putting you on my show. I'm not going to put you on for free. It's not going to cost me money. I want to make money. So you need to make money to be on my show. Say I want 500 quid minimum. This is small law, yeah? You want a wage, so you want a couple of grand or whatever it is. Now you got an opponent to pay for, because I'm not going to pay for him. That's going to cost me money. Right. So you have to pay for it. So you have to sell a certain amount of tickets that's going to cover your purse, my fee, his purse, and then for my show, there's other things that need paying, like your trainer and manager need paying, so they take a cut of your purse. There's for me, there's a lot of expenses like ring hire, all the officials, the whip, like the timekeeper. It adds up, and that smaller boxing, there's no money coming from TV or anywhere else.
How do you even do it? Do you get guys that come in that have literally, they're not actually that good, but they've got the money to do it?
Yeah, so when you first turn pro, like, you'll be fighting a level of opposition where you're probably expected to win, but you're going to get you out. You might get a knockout. You might fight someone that never gets knocked out, and then getting a knockout might boost your profile a little bit. Right, he's knocked him out, he never gets knocked out. Yeah. But he fights every week, and they call him journeyman, but I see him as more like stepping stones and building fighters and testing your low level. Yeah. And as you get up, as you get better, that level of opposition gets slightly better. So you might get someone that, I don't know, loses most weeks, but he's had 3 upsets against unbeaten kids in the last few months. So he's probably won 3 out of 10 or something, you know, as an example. Yeah. So then you're not fighting someone unbeaten, because if you fight someone unbeaten and you're small hall, I've got to pay you a purse. He's going to want a big purse because he's unbeaten. There's no way to generate that money from.
Right, okay,
Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense, yeah.
So that's where, as your prospect, you get better, you fight these kids, and then eventually get into a title position, and hopefully a promoter that's got TV money and a bit more money can put you on their show, because that's a good fight. He's had 5, 4, 6 fights, 1, 6 or 10. He's had a fair record of 60-40 or more. That would be a great fight. They both got the will to win. that'll make a TV fight. And
Is
I got the
that
money to pay that as a promoter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, is that at the point when the TV or the promoters want to put you on their show? Is that where they take some of the financial pressure off you and they come in and say, right, we're going to fund the fight?
There's more pressure because you've worked your way for years to get to that position. Yeah. If you lose, you're back to the bottom.
Yeah. And what's it at that stage, Leigh? What is it like, that time between fights where you're at the very beginning and you're still, at this point, you're still dreaming of getting to the top? What's that anxiety like between fights in those early stages when you're fighting your first half a dozen fights?
There's not a lot of pressure because you're fighting. Well, for me, I was fighting people that I could beat. I know I could beat them.
Right.
Some are harder than others, but you're going to win. It was more of getting as fast as you can to that title level because you want to start making enough money to live off, because at the minute you're just getting by. You're literally just getting by. And also, from my point of view, it was like, I'm training every day, twice a day, and I'm not getting tested. What's the point in grafting as hard as I can all the time? And I'm developing to get to that level.
Yeah.
So it's more of a lifestyle. When you get there, you're ready to fight. But I wanted to be tested as early as possible because I'm training hard.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm good enough, but I'm fighting people I can beat easy. There's no challenge. Yeah. That's what I felt like.
Is it hard then to motivate yourself to do the work when you're thinking, I know I'm going to beat this guy. He's just a stepping stone to where I want to get to, and it's more a question of patience. Yeah,
but that's when you see some prospects get beat because they take their eye off the ball.
Yeah.
And I seen that, so I was like, I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, it's hard to stay motivated for some people because they're fighting these kids, but that's where promoters come in. Sometimes they'll invest in kids that have been to the Olympics or been to tournaments as an amateur. They turn pro, then a promoter may sign them because they think, right, that'll be an investment. Then they might get moved along a little bit quicker than other fighters because the money's there to promote them, and they're good enough to do it.
Yeah.
But other kids may be good enough to do it, but they haven't got the promoter, so they have to do the long, hard route I did.
And when you start getting those bigger opportunities and you're getting to the point where you're fighting for, let's say, English titles or British titles, at that point, can you remember having a feeling where you wanted to get to that point for so long, where you kind of have this moment where you're like, right, it's now or never, right, this is it? Because you must have seen a load of lads along the way who have got to those points where you're making your professional debut, you're trying to sell your own tickets. There must be a massive drop-off. And you've got to the point where, okay, I can see it. I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I've got to go for it now.
And my story as well is I did what I just told you. I took that hard route. I went small hall. I built my way up, and then I finally got put into a title fight, a British title fight. I won a few titles before that, Masters titles they're called, just small hall titles. Okay. But first shot at the British title. So I've worked my way up. It's took a long time to get there. I'm 27, I think I am by now.
Okay.
And British title on an away show. So it was more Yorkshire and Gavin McDonnell sailing the fight. And just gassed out. I made super bantamweight. I killed myself to make it and just gassed out really. Gassed out and got stopped. I think it was around, God, it was that long, I can't remember. Was it around 7 or 8, 6 or 7?
Right.
Literally gassed out. I remember I slipped in the first round. People will go back and watch this. People may even remember it. I slipped in the first round. He came near me and I slipped. There's some water in the corner. And the ref counted it as a knockdown. So I thought, that's a 10-8 round. I'm 2 points down now for round 1. So now I went from there to there fast. I was like, woof, started throwing shots, power shots. I need to make sure I win these rounds. And my tank went, woo. And just inexperience as well, inexperience and not doing the distance before, because I stopped everyone pretty much up until that point. Never really done more than 6 rounds, so massive learning curve for me that. And honestly, after that fight, I felt like my world had ended because it took that long to get there. I got beaten. It was just like, wow, how am I gonna how long is it gonna take to get back to there? And I was expected to have a few fights and get back. It took years to get back.
Really?
Well, that was in 2014, and I didn't win the British title until 2021. So
wow,
crazy, crazy.
How important is your support network at that point? When you've had that taste of it, you feel like the worst things happened. You've gone back down the pecking order. You got to start again. How important was your support network that you had around you?
Very important, but it was a hard time. I remember my friend Jordan Gill, I'm going to his fight in December. He was the only person that stayed with me. He stayed with me that night. Not that my other friends didn't want to stay, but he'd been with me day in and out through the camp because we were at the same gym. And he stayed with me that night after the fight. We stayed in the hotel it was up in Hull, I think it was. And I'm so glad he stayed with me because I was rock bottom.
Really?
I was rock bottom. I was like really bad place. But yeah, it took a long time to get back to there. And not only that, like after that fight, I had an injury, a rupture in my bicep, completely like shot my arm, and then 2 shoulder injuries. It's all in between. To get back to win that British title, there's a few fights in between that, but to actually get the British title, it went from 2014 to 2021, wow. And it was a long journey to get there.
It's mad, right? Because people all from the outside, casual like me, will look and they'll see the Conlin fight or the Jukan fight, and then they'll see the Lara fights. They'll see this
Warrington
fight.
Oh
God, this is it. This is amazing, right? But they see none of that iceberg that exists underneath the water, do they? They don't see those 7 years and.
Yeah, and as well, like, they'll see that last bit and not that first bit. And I get messages now that are like, I'm really excited about this kid's future. I'm like, I'm 35. I'm 35. Like, I've got probably another fight or 2 fights left, and then I'm signed, I'm done. Not because I don't want to fight, not because I don't think I could. I probably could fight for longer, but I don't want to risk my health because I sometimes, the last few fights, I took a few more shots than I wanted to. And I don't want my kids wiping my arse when I'm 70 or 60, because it's a prolonged thing. It's not really like, if you take shots, you might not get the effects of it now, but maybe in 10 years or 15, 20 years, it may come on more. So I don't want to keep risking and taking that risk. So I've done all right in boxing. I've made a few quid now. I've financially secured myself. I've achieved quite a bit. One thing to do, the only reason I'm still fighting is to achieve my dream at the City Ground. And I'm nearly there, so why? Everyone's like, you can't turn them paydays down, but like, I can. Like, I don't need a life. I don't need to live a life beyond my means. Like, I've got everything I want, apart from that City Ground fight, and then I'll be happy, you know. I don't need to keep fighting.
Now you've got to those fights where you are doing well and you are making money. I think it'd be really interesting for people to know, because when you sit and you watch Sky Sports News or you listen to Talk Sport, whatever it is, how does that money then get divided up after a big fight like that? Like, you obviously don't have to tell us the numbers, but like, where are those cuts going, and how big are those cuts that's going to everybody else? Yeah,
so when I was at my old gym, God, I get angry thinking about it, but when I was at my old gym, bearing in mind, like, a lot of people think, oh, well, he must have made millions off that fight, but I didn't actually make that much money until after the British title, world title, because until you're at world title level, like, at my weight, there's no money. So, I'm looking back now. I boxed on Sky probably 6 times before winning the British title, or including the British title. So then 5 fights before that, people think, oh, I boxed on TV. Literally, you're getting paid hardly anything. And then, because I was at my old gym, they used to take 33.3%. So if you get a purse, and then they take a third of that.
Who are they splitting that up between?
So
the
trainer and manager. So trainer takes 10%, manager takes 20%. Okay. So it's 30%, but by the time you take your management off first, then you train a second, it adds up to 33.3%. So it's a lot. It's
is that manager in boxing? Is he your only manager, or do you have a personal manager as well?
No, just with boxing, it's just that's your manager for. You're fighting.
Just your fighting?
You can have a manager for like...
It's personal stuff for sponsors, that kind of thing.
You can do if you want to, but I haven't. And even now, since just from being there for that amount of time, I realised that, like, when you get to a certain level, you don't really need a manager. You do need a bit of guidance as well. My coach, Ben Davison, he helps me. He guides me a lot as well. But I'm self-managed now, so I don't have to pay that 20%. Yeah. So I pay my trainer 10%, and he earns it as well. Like Ben, like, he's a great guy. We're good friends. He guides me as well. So we think about a fight and we talk about it, and we think about the best options. So I'm in a lot better situation than when I was earning even less and paying even more, which is crazy. Yeah,
percentage-wise. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Ben and mate, because we had that conversation, and for me, it got my brain going. I was really thinking about my relationship with my coach, and you were basically saying, like, he's different, the way that he operates and the way that he works. Just tell us a little bit about what was that difference for you initially compared to the coaching team that you'd had before that. What is it? What is that difference?
Yeah, so also I don't want to be slagging people off and saying, oh, they're shit, they're not, but how they operate at my old gym was, you know, they get you fit, you throw loads of punches, loads of pads, and it's more like conditioning, and you're super fit and super strong and sharp, but actually you're not really thinking about your opponent. You're not tailoring to beat someone. You're more focused on you and what you do and how fit you are and how strong you are. And then they've got to deal with you. But the way I operate with Ben is like, we look at an opponent and we look at the strengths, we look at the weaknesses. But most importantly, Lee Wiley's well got a video analyst guy called Lee Wiley. He will look at their tendencies, whether they're good tendencies, like, oh, he does this at a certain time, and Ben as well. Ben and Lee will both look at it and they'll agree. Lee Wiley will watch like hours and hours and hours and hours of opponent, and then he'll pull these things out, and then he'll give it to Ben, and they'll talk and they'll discuss, and then they'll pick out the important things for me. So then that'll get diluted to Ben, and that'll get diluted again to me. Not diluted, but like the important things pulled out of it, because you can't just give it all to me and be like, this is what we're looking. It'll be too much. No. But so then I'll get given the important things, maybe 10 or 12 things, moments. He does this in this moment. If you do this, he may do this. 9 times out of 10. It's not all a given, but it's high percentages here. We're talking like very likely things, and it's worked. And if you look at the level that I've been boxing at compared to the level I've been beat at, it's like, well, you got beat at that level, then you've won that by knockout, you won that by knockout, you won that by knockout. Like, how? And this is how. Because of the team I've got is way ahead. Do you think that difference is the access to that knowledge that they've got? They're just giving you the almost cheat codes, like. Yeah, sometimes it's almost like cheating, because it's so. It's like, well, if you do these things right and you drill them, and obviously we have to be extremely fit, and you have to really put in an effort into camp anyway. But it's more mentally draining because you're doing the same thing. Like you say you're working on a certain thing that day, we'll drill it over and over and over and over and over. But I know on fight night, you have to be able to do this. You have to be able to do it without thinking. You can't think, right, I'm going to look for this thing, and something else comes, boom, you're not ready. Yeah. So you have to be like almost instinctively fighting, and then that situation may occur, and you go bang, 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 because you've drilled it hundreds of times. It worked and it clicked. It happened in my last fight. It happened in the Conlin fight. It happened in the Reece Mould fight, the Kanzu fight, the Lara fight. Can you give us an example of like in one of those fights? I can give you an example of the previous fights, because I'll give you an example on the fights that won't happen again. Yeah, I was going to say, because you never know what fight's going to happen again, and I don't want them to know these things. But after that, I've said many times, when I retire, I'm going to talk through, probably with Ben or with Lee or both of them, and about the fight, before the fight. We've got videos of me drilling it. We've got my scouting report with a date on, saying this is, the date I got the scouting report, and this is the information. I'll open it and I'll talk for everyone what happened and what I did and what situation occurred and how I got the knockout. Yeah. People are like, that's crazy. And no one else. I can watch boxing on TV and you can hear the instruction in the corner, and it's like, I'm so glad I'm where I am. Right. I'm so glad I've got the team I've got. And I watch people training on pads, and you can almost see like making mistakes on pads. You can watch them hit pads. Now, before I'd be like looking at the punches, looking at how sharp and strong they are. Now I'm watching thinking, they're doing something over and over again. That's detrimental. Or I'll be looking at the footwork and thinking, they're doing something that's going to cost them at some point. Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't used to look at boxing like that. Since I've been with Ben, my whole vision of boxing and everything's changed massively. How much of it, Lee, is like coach-led? Is it you walk into the gym, they're in full control, you follow the program to the letter, but how much is you instinctivly feeling what you feel, how you react to certain situations? Yeah, so we do set things in the gym, but when you spar, it's down to you. It's your decisions. Okay. So this is where another thing that I said is, since I've been with Ben, my decision making has got better. Okay. So before, like, a lot of fighters do this, and I used to do it, but like I'll be sparring and thinking, right, we're sparring, I'm going to do this next, and no matter what's happening here or here, I'm going to do this next. So I might think, I don't know, I'm going to throw 1-2 next. So I might go in and I'm going to go bang bang, but a lot of fighters do this, but you can't really, at that level, you can't do that. You can't make a decision 10 seconds before or 5 seconds before that you're going to throw something regardless of what's happening. Right. You can't do that. Well, you can do that, but it's almost a different level then. You're working at a different level. How do I know someone's not waiting for a 1-2? Or I might think, right, I've been caught with a jab. This time, I'm going to sit down, throw an uppercut. So you might go to throw that 1-2. The jab's gone over my head. Your 1-2's gone over my head, and I've caught you with an uppercut because I've been caught with the jab 2 times. So in the third time now, I'm waiting for a counter, and you just stepped in with that 1-2, and I've caught you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so much. That's just an example, probably a terrible example, but like there's so much things happening.
Yeah.
You need to be aware of as the fight's playing out. You can't think, right, I'm going to throw this shot regardless of what's coming back, regardless of what's happening. You need to be 2 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so I'm guessing that you guys have like a very high level of trust between you. Right?
Yeah, but like there is, yeah, but like it's just basically common sense as well. Like you won't teach everyone the same because they fight different opponents, but the principles are very similar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, the basics and the fundamentals.
Yeah, and
they don't change.
Yeah, the principles of how you box, like it's Ben always says, and they view it like a conversation, like asking a question. So you might go sharp, feint, asking you, if I do this, what are you going to do?
Right, okay, yeah.
Then you might go, oh, throw back. Oh, great. I've got that information now. So I know if I jab you, you're thinking, right, I'm going to catch and throw back, or I'm just going to throw back. So I've got that information now. So I know when I jab, you're throwing back. So I can just put one out there, boom, I know you're throwing back, slip, I've nailed you because you're throwing back. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
And that's just one example.
Yeah.
There's so many examples.
So rather than just thinking about what you're doing in your head, you've got that, but you're reacting.
Yeah, or for another example of the same one, I check it, I'm asking the question, I'm jabbing, what are you doing? Nothing. Sweet, I'm going to go. Boom, boom, bang, because you're not throwing back, you're not ready. Yeah? Or I might ask a question, boom, you step off. So there's so many, there's so many things to it, there's so many outcomes, but it's the principles of asking the question, checking something first.
Do you think that, you obviously spent those 10 years in Sheffield, and you said that, a lot of that training was based around conditioning, durability, making sure you were physically prepped do you think the fact that you did those 10 years of that means that now you've got that in you so you can focus on the IQ stuff?
Definitely, like, when Ben first took me on the pads when I went down to Sheffield, to Essex, it's like, you can crack, you can punch. And I do think that may have been part of that system that I was in repetitively. We used to do what's called the blows, which is like a bag full of corn and what Brendan designed. And it's like hitting concrete. Literally, the bag's like concrete. You used to have to do these blows every day at the end of the session. You step in, whack, you do jabs, doubles, triples, 1-2s, hooks. You do like a whole sequence of punches on these bags. Okay. And kids first come to the gym like, you can't, it's hurting my hands. But I did it for 10 years, and you build up, you could say you build up the calcium in your bones and your hands, your joints, and everything gets harder and stiffer, and your muscles get stronger. And Prince Nazim was from that gym and he did the same thing, and he could knock everyone out. So maybe that played a key part in my power. But the combination of the both and moving to Ben was key.
Do you think it's an advantage, mate, that everything in your career happened a little bit later? Because you were a little bit more maybe mentally mature when those situations arose. So like 27, you lose that British title. If that had happened maybe when you're 21, 22, you might not have handled that the way you did and come back, and you had to work for all of those years from 2014 to 2021.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you think that's an advantage? Because, in my sport, a lot of the time, we have like wonder kids that come through, and I was probably one of them. But I didn't really fully mature until I was 27, 28. For me in my sport, by that point, my mind had caught up, but my body was gone. It was just gone. I couldn't do it anymore. But it seems like for you, like because you had that almost slower journey to the top, you were kind of able to mature mentally at the right time as you were physically getting to your peak.
Yeah, I look back and think everything worked out perfect and at the right time. Maybe because like when I first turned pro, like I said to a few friends, like I'm winning that British title. And it's a hard title to win, it's probably the most prestigious belt in world boxing, or especially obviously British boxing, but like world boxing, like that belt is like, if you're from Britain, like that is the belt to win. And normally people go on from that belt and go to box for if not win a world title. So it's very prestigious. And I said to my friends, like, I'm not quitting boxing until I win that belt. And that's my minimum. minimum, I'm winning that belt. And I wanted to keep winning it outright, so I told him more about that in a minute. So I was thinking, right, I want to win that belt outright. So if you look at my story, like, I got beat in 2014 for it. I didn't win it till 2021. So if I'd have won that fight and then lost for European or World, it'd probably been like, oh, well, I won my British title. I did what I set out to do, and I got beat at this level, and maybe I'm not good enough. Like, who knows what would have happened? But because I didn't, it's like, right, I'm fucking gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna freaking come back and win that. And then obviously moved gyms and got better. Then won this and won that by knockout. And the British title didn't line up. I boxed the Commonwealth and won that by knockout. Defended it, won by knockout. WWE European won by knockout, and the British title was like not there. So that kind of kept me going, because I said even if I'd have won a world title first, I'd still come back for the British title.
Right.
So like, yeah, it never came. And then obviously 2021 it came, in my new gym, and the fashion that I won it, I was like, I can do better than this. Was still getting better.
Yeah.
Obviously the world title fight, and I still getting better. The Conlin fight, I was still getting better now, like experience and that. So maybe everything happened for the reason, and for the right reason. But the British title, which it still bugs me a little bit, is the British title is the only belt in boxing where you have to win it and then defend it 3 times to keep it.
Right.
So it's like, it's got gold in, the belt's gold plated and that. Wow. Yeah. So it still bugs me that I've not got it to keep, because you can't buy it, you can't borrow it, you got to win it. And the thing was, when I won the British title, is the world title was the next fight, and you can't hold the world title and the British title. So the British Board of Control say, if you win a world title, you have to vacate the British. And obviously the money's there for the world title. It's a massive belt. So I had to vacate it. And I remember in the changing room before the world title fight, I opened up the British, because I knew I was going to pass it back after. I knew I was going to win, without a shadow of a doubt. So just by all the prep I'd done and how well my team analysed it and how confident they was, so I got the belt. And I remember I was taking loads of photos. I thought I might end up buying one and get it engraved exactly the same, and then want to later date till I realised, I rang up the board and said, you can't buy it, you have to win it. I was good. But I still got the photos of it all, and I took loads of photos with friends when I had the belt and that. But that's one thing that I'd probably, if I could, go back and win outright. But then
just timing, there's timing.
You can't.
You got to take
if
that
I'd have said no to the world title shot,
you can't do
to
that,
try and get in a position to win the world title shot is even harder than getting picked to win one. So
and you did it, mate. All those mates that you said that you were going to do that, like you kept that promise to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't get upset about it, but it's just something that I would have liked to have done.
It's cool that you feel that way, like about that British title. Do you know what I mean? I'm somebody that's very proud to be like where I'm from. So like, I'm proud to be from Britain, England, Nottingham. Anything good that's going on in Nottingham, like I'm big champion of it. Even where I'm from, my village, like I just love. I don't know what it is within me. I'm just very proud to be where I'm from. I think you should be. When you get that big fight, Leigh, the first fight with Conlin after the world title, so your first defence, and he's quite a big name, right? Because he goes viral after the Olympics for that interview that he did, which was hilarious. I can remember listening to where he's going mad about the judges. So he's quite a big name, and you get that fight. Just tell me what it's like walking out into an arena with a home crowd, and like you can say what you want before that, like. What are the conversations you're having with your head? Because you're never going to let anybody know if you're nervous or you're worried or you're scared or you're thinking, God, what happens if this goes wrong? But what is that conversation in your head when you're going out?
So back to the start of this podcast, I was like, I told you, like, I'm a proper ballsy kid. Like, I remember, like, hanging around with groups of friends and, like, someone would say something like, oh, no one would dare do that. And I'd be like, boom. What? I'm already off it. I'm already off it. Like, or if someone said to me, you wouldn't dare do that, or you can't do that, that just gets me up. That just gets me, like, I've always been like that since a kid. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's ego, fucking whatever, but I'm always a ballsy kid, and someone's climbing a tree, I have to climb the highest. If someone's already been to the top, I'm not in part about climbing it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But, like, if there's that challenge there, like, I don't know what it is since I've been a kid, like, I've always been the same. Always like wheeling bikes, or you can't wheelie all the way down there, or you can't do this with that, you can't do that, then it just gets me up for it. So that for that fight especially, like, I heard a lot of, you can't beat him, it's too good, you won't beat him, payday, you'll get payday, that's it, you can't beat him. The build up as well, the build up was like very, it got me, what's the word I'm trying to look for, like, I wanted to hurt him.
Right.
It got under my skin.
Right, okay.
He said a lot of things, and the press conference in Nottingham, got a cold, sorry. The press conference in Nottingham, he was going on and on. He tried to divide me and my coach. He just tried to do everything to unravel me and like upset me and get under my skin. But he pissed me off that much. I said that comment, you know which comment I'm on about? I said, look, if I knocked you, because what if you don't knock me out? What if you don't knock me out? Because I said, I'll knock you out. He goes, what if you don't knock me out? I said, if I ever knocked you out by round 12, I'm going to knock you out in round 12. So if you get to round 12 and I haven't knocked you out, I'm going to knock you out. And he basically laughed. Like, he's like, what? And everyone else laughed, but, you know, obviously that's what happened. And the moment I said that with so much intent and passion. It wasn't a joke. I wasn't joking to him. I said, I'm not going to knock you out. And if I ever knocked you out by round 12, I will knock you out in round 12. I'm going to knock you out. But I was no shadow of a doubt in my mind that at some point I was going to knock him out. And he wound me up that much. I said it, if you watch back the video, I said it with so much intent and drive that I watch it back and I think, wow, I was being deadly serious. Like, that wasn't a joke to make people laugh. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, back to the entrance. God, I come out and unbelievable atmosphere. Honestly, like I said, I'm a ballsy kid. I was never going to buckle under pressure. Like, people mentioned a few things about. He said something about the pressure. He said, "Oh, you never walked out in front of that many people before. Like, you don't know what it's like because he'd done it before."
Right, okay.
I've come from small law boxing. 300 people at Clifton Leisure Centre, like to like 9,000 people. It's a big jump. So like, I understand what he was saying, but he don't know me. So I heard him say a few comments about the pressure and walking out to that many people. He's not done it before. He's done it loads of times, as obviously we know. He turned pro in Madison Square Garden and that. And I smiled. I thought, this kid don't know me. And I smiled and I thought, for everyone telling me that he's going to beat me, they don't know me. Like, everything that he's saying now is just stacking and racking up my power bar. Like, every time I hear a comment, boom, it's in the bank. I read something on social media, like, he ain't got a chance, he's going to get his head boxed off. That's in the bank. Boom, that bar goes up. He says a little comment about the pressure. Boom, that goes up. He says, there's no way I can beat him. That goes up. His brother says something. It goes up again. Like, they're feeding me. And they didn't realise they're feeding me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I walk out. Oh, this is unbelievable. So I walk out after all this talk and all this. The atmosphere is amazing, by the way, so thanks to all the fans. I'm halfway down the ramp. Some kid from Ireland's got a pint in his hand. Whoosh, right down my leg. My whole sock, my boot is drenched. And if you watch the video, but I've got the video of that, me getting swilled with it on my phone. You can see it. You see the guy throw it in slow motion. But anyway, I'm looking at the ring. Guy from my left, woof, woof. And I'm walking, I'm thinking, I kicked it off my leg. I didn't even look at him. I kicked it off, I thought, nothing's fucking with me today. I didn't even move, I didn't even blink. I'm walking to the ring. Boom, I felt it. I kicked my leg like that. I thought, nothing's fucking beating me today. And I just carried on walking. Like, that's the mindset I had that day.
Yeah. It's tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel vision, yeah.
And before that 12th round, like, when you go back to your corner, at that point, in that situation with that many people watching, you know, there's thoughts racing through your head, it's noisy, you're absolutely shattered. Are you taking in that feedback before that 12th round? Do you know what I mean? Are they giving you much feedback? Or is it just purely in the moment?
I wasn't really thinking, my mind wasn't anywhere else but the fight. So I was tunnel vision. I knew what I had to do. Obviously, Ben and Leigh made sure that I was exactly to the pinpoint, knew what I had to do. Come out for round one. It's a bit, I'm pushing him back, like the whole thing was, without giving too much away in case the fight happens again, but hopefully it don't, because hopefully my mate's going to beat him next week. Anyway, without giving too much away, it was about certain things, and one thing was pushing him back and come out a little faint, and he went back, boom, little boom, 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 little flick to the side, whoa, he laughed, he went back, and I thought, pushing you back easier, so I got a bit relaxed. Things was happening, ticking off the things I need to do. Straight away, got down to work and it was working, and got a bit too relaxed, and he started landing his backhand to the body as a southpaw. Boom! I was too relaxed, blocking it like that. Boom! So then next time he threw a body shot, block. Boom! Next time he went feint. I went woof, and he came over the top. He went woof, boom! Came over the top. Round one, nailed me. straight on my back, as you've seen. But that's what happened. If people don't know, he didn't just come out for a shot. You know, he sold me downstairs and straight on my back. And then the only thing that was going in my mind, through my mind, bearing in mind, I didn't know I went on my back. I thought I just took a knee.
Right.
It wasn't until after the fight someone showed me, said, you was on your back, look. And I was like, nah. But anyway, what went through my head as I was standing up, I was out there, and then when I got up, I was still probably not quite with it. And then from that point there on one knee, I stood up quick. That's probably where I came back, kind of thing. And the only thing from that point that went from my head was, that's a fucking 10-8 round, you silly bastard. Now I'm down. Like, fucking claw it back. And I stood up, and then obviously the bell had gone as he landed the shot, so I got a minute and.
Does your brain at that moment go back to like past experiences where you had the same thing and you're 10-8 or you're just fully in that fight?
No. I wasn't panicking, wasn't worrying.
But do you know what I mean? Like when you were younger, you went, right, exhausted yourself.
Experience.
Is your brain subconsciously going, right?
This time I've got a lot more experience. I've done the distance, the Kanzu. I know I'd never done 12 rounds to this point, but I've been to the 12th round. So I knew about pace and everything else. I knew about 12-round fights, like, because I made that mistake before. I never made the same mistake twice. I made that mistake throwing everything and gassing out. I'd never do that again. I promised myself I'd never lose a fight for fitness or gassing out again, ever. So, gets back to the first round. I'm thinking, obviously, experience this time, being caught. I've got 12 rounds. It's a long time, 12 rounds. Don't sound like it, but it's a long time. 3-minute rounds, it's a long time. So I sit down and Ben says like, this is like, I was like, right, you need to watch this. And I went, just say that again slowly, Ben. I think he laughed, but smiled. He went, he's standing on stage, what the back? I was like, oh, sound, come back out. It landed about 3 or 4 more times. But what happened now is, like, I didn't see the first one. Now I can see it coming.
Okay.
So it's caught me again. Boof. Now he's getting to the point now where he's caught me, he's dropped me, and he's loading up, and I'm taking his best shot. So he's landing clean. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going down. I'm not really shaking. Just landing and landing. That second round. Third round again, he caught me with some more shots. It's getting to the point where he's landed everything he's got. And I'm not only still there, but now I'm starting to turn this fight around. I'm walking through shots. I'm landing my own shots. And like I said, I'm a big puncher, so now the tide's turning a bit. Like round 4, I'm imposing myself. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Which I don't want to go into too much in case it happens again, but I'm doing these things that I'm supposed to do. And because I'm doing them things, I'm like, I'm back in now.
Yeah.
And round by round, I start my process of what I should have done from the round 1. But obviously I'm 4 rounds behind because of getting dropped. And then, I'm started chipping away, getting to the game plan. And even though I started the fight so bad, the game plan still worked. And by round 10, I could have pushed him over by round. I don't know how we made round 12, to be honest. And then the sequence in round 12 came, what I drilled, and opportunity presents itself. And not only did I knock him out, I knocked him out in round 12, which I said I was going to do, which is quite ironic. And knocked him out of the ring, which made history, so everything for a reason.
Did you, when you after that moment when you walk back and it all goes quiet and you're in the change room, or even maybe not the change room when you get home that night and you go to bed, is there a moment where you're like, as if I just did that?
No, normally would, like, I would have been buzzing, but because I didn't know if he was all right, straight after the fight, I couldn't celebrate. Yeah. Even when I went back there, I was asking if he was all right. I was like, asking the people from Matchroom, like, is people with him? Yeah, he's gone hospital. Like, I thought, straight away, boom, nailed him. Sank, like, yes, I fucking done him. I nailed him. I said I was going to nail him. I finally got him. It should have been 2 rounds before, but I got him. And then I think Leigh Wood or someone said, he's not right. And I looked, medics and that. I thought, oh shit, like, what if I hurt him?
Yeah.
What if I've done something, like, what if I've really hurt him? You know what I mean? And then you kind of panic a bit, like, because you could never, like, I could never live with myself if I'm celebrating. I've done permanent damage to him. Do you know what I mean? So then it was like, oh no, what if? And then, like, we were to calm the crowd down a little bit. And from that moment then till the next day when I seen him in the morning, I couldn't celebrate. I couldn't enjoy it. Kind of got robbed of it a little bit. So then I seen him again the next morning, back from hospital, fucking still talking shit, wants to rematch. I thought, you fucking prick. But I'm glad he was all right. But same old Mick Conlin.
What's that like, mate? Like, Do you worry more about getting hurt yourself or hurting someone else?
Hurting someone else, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Many fights. So there was the Doyle fight. Colin slumped him. There was the Reece Mould fight. Gassaneri was on. I thought, if I hurt him, I feel like, obviously it's just a sport. Like, I want to knock someone out. Don't get me wrong. I want a highlight reel, but I don't want to like damage them permanently where that changes their life. And do you know what I mean? I don't want to like put them into like, I don't want to give them brain damage or anything. Do you know what I mean? I just want to get my highlight reel knockout. And if they could to me, they would. But I don't want anything to be permanent. Like, it's just a sport, isn't it?
It gets thrown around a lot, doesn't it? That like, it gets thrown around a lot that like, wow, boxing is dangerous, and you know, people, you can lose your life doing this, and that's why the guys that make it to the top, they deserve all the money they get. But I think as a casual, you don't really think about that, because you wouldn't really understand unless you were in the position of being able to potentially really hurt someone or be really hurt yourself.
It can happen, and you can get out doing something you don't enjoy, so you might as well risk getting hurt in something you absolutely love and that changes your life and fulfills your passion, you know. So,
and that's why you guys earn every penny you earn when you get to that level, like, because it's not like other sports. There aren't other sports. Do you know what I mean?
There's so much more to it. Like, it's the fight night. You see the fight night, but maybe more damage is done in some gyms. But I say some gyms, not all gyms, where they're sparring for a fight and sparring 3-4 times a week, open sparring, taking punches to the head consistently, 12 rounds, and they don't know quite what they're doing, and they're just taking a hammer thinking they're getting stronger and fitter and more determined and better at taking, I don't know what they think, but like someone take a lot of hammer and more damage is definitely done in the gyms than fight night. You fight 3 times a year, whatever, the damage can't all be done on fight night. Don't get me wrong, smaller gloves and it can be done on fight night, but I think sometimes, not all the times, there's a lot of damage done in the gym.
Yeah. A fight week, Leigh, like, let's take, for example, the second Lara fight. How stressful is a fight week? You know, nothing to do with the other guy that you're fighting, but just mentally, how draining is a fight week and that build-up?
I used to hate it. Right. Cameras and press conferences, and I was quite, not shy, maybe shy, you could say shy. I was uncomfortable. I didn't like it. Like, camera in your face here, camera in your face there. You're repeating yourself 10 times a day because they're asking how confident you are for this fight, or how are you going to win, or how's camp been? Then you turn around and it's the same questions, and you go to the hotel, it's the same questions, and then there's a lot of amateur cameras in boxing. You don't really get them in other sports, so people just pull the phone out. Hello, this is for boxing, whatever. It's like there's a lot of amateurs, and you're repeating yourself a lot. Maybe that should change a little bit. We was talking about it in my gym not long ago, and there was an incident where someone got punched by their team because there's no security stopping people mixing and that. Right. And there's a bit of beef between the people that was fighting and his family, and he got punched. But at the time, they was getting filmed by like just normal people can come up, like say, oh, they're with this website or with this Instagram, whatever.
You don't know as a fighter if they are or not, if they're legit or not, right?
Yeah, but even if they're legit, like they're not like your mainstream media, like your BBC and that. Yeah. So really what they should get is, like in football, where you're at a table, there's all these people here, and someone says, right, question. Not only do the fight have to repeat itself 10 times for the same questions, but it's safer because there's security there, either side. So if them two people that fight clash, there's security there. When after that, and then you get your individual ones, the security is that there's too many people to police because it's there. There's one fighter there, there's one fighter there from the whole bill. It's harder to police, and maybe that's one thing that that should change.
Yeah. It's when you're doing that, and do you have to how do you manage your weight? Like in a
hard.
It's tough.
So obviously fight week, you're cutting down, so you got no carbs all fight week, and you're really starting to cut down, and then that's when you've got to be more enthusiastic, because that's when everyone's going to judge you and go, right, well,
you got jazz hands, haven't you?
Press conference here. How confident is he? But I'm confident, but I'm quite reserved anyway. No, I'm not really loudmouth, but I'm extremely confident, but I'm fucking starving. I'm not really eating a lot, and like making weight, and then obviously you got your cut, and like it's hard. And it's all fight week, and it's a lot of pressure. And like I said, you got to be enthusiastic, and you got to be you got to try and put your character across, which I've always struggled with. Like when the camera comes out, it's like my personality. I feel like God, like I want to be myself, but I feel like I can't quite be myself. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. But when cameras are out the way, I feel like I can be myself a little bit more. And it's harder because I would love everyone to meet the real me, because I think they would like the real me, but it's hard because when the camera comes out, I'm not quite the real me, do you know?
Yeah. Do you have like, I was talking about this with someone the other day, and I was saying like, it was funny when I was a kid and I'd used to fly to competitions sometimes, I'd be sitting there, my brain would like stray to, oh, imagine if the flight gets cancelled, I don't have to compete. Because there was like that, inside, subconsciously, I had that fight or flight. That was what was going on. It was my brain trying to like jump at. Do you, even as someone that's competing at that level and is that age, and I'm sure like you might not want to like admit something like that, but it's normal, right? Do you still have that fight or flight thing, even at the age you're at now?
Yeah, I think early in my career when I was a kid, like, not a kid, but like in my teenage years, like, them thoughts are like, something crazy pop in your head, and you think, what are you going about? Then you argue with yourself. Everyone gets them. It's normal. It's like, you'd be surprised how many people do go through the same things in life, make the same mistakes in life. I say this a lot as well, like, if you've got someone you trust, like, talk to them about things that you're even embarrassed about talking about, because you'd be surprised how many people have been through them same things. You think, oh God, I'm going through this now, no one will understand, no one else has been through this. Like, trust me, like, this pretty much everyone has been through something similar. Like, trust me. It's about growing and learning from your experiences and your mistakes, and that's life. Like, it's like sport and career, and like, you just got to keep getting better.
You know, and if there's kids watching, Leigh, like young boxers or just young athletes, or not even athletes, kids that have that fear and that nerves, like, that doesn't go away, does it? You just learn about what that is and how to manage it. And
I do think some people struggle more. Remember what I said about worrying? So
yeah.
I say, like, if you're worrying about something, don't even worry about anything, because if you're worrying about something, right, take action, which means, take action to change what you're worrying about. So you're not going to worry about it because you took action. Or if you can't take action because you can't really change it, don't worry about it, because you're not going to get nothing out of it. You can worry about it for weeks, months, years, but it's not going to change anything. So why waste what time you've got here worrying about it? But yeah, remember there was a lad at my amateur gym. He used to get really nervous before he fought, and I said to him, look, like, what you feel right now, you're getting nervous about fighting, but when you spar, you may get a little bit nervous, but not as bad as this. But like, after a spar, you're like, oh yeah, that sparred well. Like, don't worry like about your fight, like, because what you're feeling, what you're going through, that's what you say to him. I don't know if it was true, but it used to help him. What you're going through right now, the person you're fighting, they're on the way to the stadium and they're feeling exactly the same as what you're feeling. And he'll be like, yeah, you're right. I was like, he feels exactly like you, but you're going to get in there, that just goes out the window, then you can focus on your boxing. Like, what you're feeling, it's just a feeling what everyone goes through. And then you'll be like, yeah, you're right. Then I think, he gets a lot more nervous than me.
Mate, let's talk a little bit about the fight then with Josh Warrington. I sat down and listened to you two have sit down and have that sit down like we do on Sky Sports, and you were very nice to each other. I thought in that, like, very respectable. Did you almost feel? I almost felt like he admitted that you're a better boxer in that conversation.
Yeah, I boxed him 6 rounds.
Did you walk away from? But do you know what I mean? Did you walk away from that conversation thinking, all right, we've been very amicable to each other, but actually, like, he's kind of almost accepting that I am a better boxer.
No,
do you know what I mean? Do you just have a conversation, or are you, even though you're having a nice conversation, are you still playing mind games?
I'm done with mind games now, because I know, like, gets to fight night, then
it doesn't matter. Once you're in that ring,
do what I do.
Does it?
Yeah, like, you can't really, like, throw me off my game. You can't fuck with my head. Like, I've too experienced to, like, get through, and, like, I know what I've got to do, because it's clear, because of the team that I'm with. I know exactly what I need to do. I'm confident in doing it. So what someone else says, I just think, well, they're just trying the best to try and get an advantage or whatever somewhere. But yeah, we talked. It was amicable. It was like, we both got respect for each other. Like, and he's exactly like me. Like, if someone gives me shit, then you're getting it back. If you want to say things about me, I'll say things about you. But he isn't like that. I'm not like that as a rule. So yeah, the respect is there, and you don't need to be like that to sell a fight. I think the promoters would prefer it, but that's not us. So the fight got sold on the basis that he's a good fighter. He's a 2-time world champion. I'm a good fighter. I'm a 2-time world champion. It was a great fight, and it was. I think it was the fight that it was built up to be. It was exciting, and it was everything that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I did everything that I said I was going to do, and what happened was exactly pretty much what I said would happen. To the T, I watched a few interviews back that get tagged in, and I said that Leigh said that would happen. And I'm like, exactly pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
So.
Talk me through those 6 rounds and what's going on in your head. Are you thinking, right, this is going to plan when you're having those conversations in your corner between each round? You're going, this is exactly what's going through your head in those first six rounds?
Yeah, so first of all, I come out and it was at a pace where I thought, God, I'm landing here, and I'm probably, if he carries on like this, like, it's giving me loads of opportunities already, and like, it's at a pace where I'm eventually going to knock you out. Basically, I can see shots, I can see certain things lining up, and you're right in front of me. And then I remember round 1 or round 2, his corner shouted to him, "Do you want to get beat again?" or something about getting beat or losing again. And he went from like that pace he was at to woof. And that's the worst thing that could have possibly happened, because he's gone from being working that hard to being like fairly inefficient, and not only being inefficient, throwing more shots and being more aggressive. And you can't do that with a puncher, because you're giving me so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And I was looking and waiting for the right moment. And I said that before. I said, like, there were times when Josh would be working extremely hard to win a moment, and I'll make him pay for it. And I did make him pay for it. As soon as he started skirting around a little bit, he did a certain thing. But we drilled in the changing room, we drilled in the camp. The moment came, boom, when I southpaw, and I took it and caught him, and that's exactly what I said was going to happen.
Is there any danger, Leigh, like, having fought the fight against Conlin and winning in the 12th round, really close to the end of the fight, and knocking him out, is there any danger when you're going into a fight then thinking, well, I know I can pull something off really late in the fight, like in training, but does that then become an advantage when the actual fight is there? Because you're then like, well, if it does go there, then I know that I can put... Do you know what? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's good to have, like... It's not so much like I've had 2 12-round knockouts, but it's not so much like, oh, I know if it gets to 12, I can knock you out. Because I have many times, but it's more of like, I carry power, and I carry it throughout the whole fight. So if you're a volume puncher and you throw a lot of shots, so whilst your hands aren't by your head ear, the right ear, so many gaps and opportunities for me to hit you. So whichever way you want it, if you want to throw more and give me more opportunities to catch you, and I'm a big puncher, and I'm a big puncher for the whole distance of the fight, then it's just a matter of time before I land. If you want to tuck up a little bit more, then it'd be more like the Zukan fight, where I break you down systematically round by round. So whichever way you want to do it, it don't really matter to me. I want to get the job done regardless of how you want to approach the fight, and that's what good fighters do. They find the way to win, regardless of what's in front of them.
It seems like to me, mate, from having this conversation with you today, you're able to take the emotion out of your sport and fighting and just use logic, your head.
That's what you have
really
to do.
Well.
That's what you have to do. Don't get me wrong, there's times in the past when I've boxed on instinct and feelings, and it's not the way to do it. There is a time when, like, against Conlin, when part of the game plan was to do a certain thing and push a pace. Sometimes you have to bite down and push that pace, regardless of which way you do it, whether you're doing it by imposing or you're doing it by sitting on his chest and making him work. Like, it's a similar kind of thing, but the game plan was to do that. So, that's the time when that can, especially with what happened before, that driving there, it helps, but it's all based on logic and principle and game plan and drilling, and get to the point where you drill that many times in training that you can do it without even thinking of fight night. And that's how it has to be, because if you sit around and wait for a certain moment, you'll be here all night, it'll never come. I need to be able to know these situations here that I've drilled. I'm boxing and that one pops up, I can see it, I don't think about it, I just do it because I've drilled it hundreds of times, and then it'll win me the fight. And that's what's happened many, many times.
One question I wanted to ask you, mate, in that Lara fight when Ben put the towel in, is that, for people that are like fight fans or sports fans, is that a conversation that is is that a predetermined thing? So do you have a conversation at some point, whenever it is in a fight camp, or is it just we just know that this is the way it is, you're in control, and if it gets to that situation, you're doing that, and that's... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like with Ben, like that's his job. So if you ask a fighter, say, right...
You're never gonna...
No.
Oh, yeah.
I still say to this day, like... Should let me come out, I won that fight. And I fully, wholeheartedly believe that. Like, I believe that the bell went Adam Insan, and there's been like Conlin, but Lara's a big puncher, you know. He's very like me. He's probably not as big a one-punch bang than me, but he's very sharp and fast on the counter. So if you're making a little mistake, like... But yeah, you can't really go talk to the fighter at the gym and go, right, if you get hurt, you know, like, bad, like, I want to throw the towel in. And the fighter will be like, no, never, ever. I don't even take that towel to the ring. Because I'd rather go out on my back than go out with the towel or someone stopping the fight, the ref, whatever. Like, I'd rather be carried out. But that's just fighters, and that's just how it is, I guess. Like, I believe, and people may call me deluded. Like, I always back myself against every single person, every single fighter. And even my team logically might go, that's not a great, that fight's not a great fight for you. Stylistically, you know, maybe we should go with that person who's better on higher ranked and people fear is more dangerous, but that fight 3 below is not the style for you. And I'll beat him. But like, it's where, like you say, logic takes over, and you got to back yourself as a fight. Maybe that little bit of delusion has got me where I am today, like knowing and just thinking that I'm not going to get beat. I'll beat anyone in my division. And maybe it's the confidence, and I've always been a confident kid. Maybe that confidence and that slight delusion of whatever it is got me where I am. I don't know.
Yeah. Leigh, when you think about, you know, you talked a little bit about the future, like... And it's one thing that I wanted to ask you, because in my career, there used to be skills in gymnastics where you would basically do like what a diver would do into the water, but on the floor. And I used to knock my head like 10 times a day when I was a kid. And one time I got a really bad concussion that lasted for 12 months, and I didn't tell anyone because I thought they're going to stop me competing. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. That frightens the hell out of me, that does. And whenever I talk about it with my fiancée, she just shuts me up and says, shut up, I don't want to hear it. I'm like, no, but I'm serious. I used to knock my head, top of my head, from like 3 meters, 4 meters in the air, like 10 times a day for the whole of my teenage years. I'm like, I stress about that. Yeah. Do you have those worries, like, not necessarily about maybe getting hit in the head, but also like physically? Because now, my shoulder, I got told last week by a doctor that I've got 2 torn tendons. And I was kind of like, well, if I rehab them, will they maybe magically go back on? And he was like, no, we've got to attach them, mate, to fix them. And I was like, fuck. But like, do you worry about that? Like, or is it something you can't worry about too much right now?
No, I don't worry about me. I don't worry about me at all. I worry about my kids. Like I said, I don't want my kids to be looking after me when I get to like 60 odd, you know? I don't worry about me. I feel like I'm the last person I worry about. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot, I've done a lot in my life. Like, I'm getting to that age where, like, I won't even be bothered. Like, if I passed away, like, I'm not scared of that. I'm not bothered. Like, I feel like I've done a lot in my life. I've seen a lot. But I think more about my kids. I feel like, oh, God, I don't want my kids to look at me. And what if I'm, like, get to a part where I've been that badly hit to a stage where I can't reply and I'm just basically, like, vegetable, and, like, they're looking after me. That's worse than me passing away tomorrow. That is the worst thing I could think of, like, them looking after me and not being able to interact with them, and them having to, me being alive and not being able to do anything with them. That's the worst thing I could think of. So I do sometimes think about that, and I think, I hope I've not took that much stick. But like, with boxing, it is getting a lot tighter. Things are getting more stringent. We have brain scans every year anyway, so if there's any little thing, they'll see it. I don't know, maybe as technology gets better, there may be more things that go on with head injuries and things that can repair things. Like, this thing's always advancing in this. So by the time I'm 60, you know, there may be something even better by then.
Leigh, like, the next thing is the city ground, right? Like, what are the steps in between making that happen now at this point? Like, I mean, logistically, how difficult is that to do? Someone said to me the other day, but they have to take that concert there. Like, surely that, you know, opens the window. Like,
yeah, they took my spot. They took my slot. I think it's 27th for me, innit? But no, like, before the last season, you know, the pitch wasn't able to get all matted down and then recover for a game. It wasn't. It was all grass and mud, so like it would have been a mess. And I agree with him. Like, Then obviously they spent a lot of money on the pitch and the break in between the seasons, so it's all like half artificial, half real. So now it can get matted,
right,
and it can come off as long as it's not down too long, and the grass will be sound. You know, I've got a lot of contacts at the club. I'm good friends with Cooper. So yeah, I don't see why it can't happen now. You know, conversations have already begun.
Okay.
So we're in the process of sorting it. My promotional team are already on it. So I'll know more at the weekend, and then I've got another meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay,
So yeah, we're on the right track. I'm confident. In my contract for my last fight, for the Warrington fight, I said I'm not signing this Warrington fight unless this Forest Ground fight is in that contract. I win this fight, we're going there, or they have to let me go. I'm not fighting again. Okay. So it's in their best interest to make this fight. If they don't make this fight, I can go to someone that can make the fight. But and trust me, if that fight can be made there, Eddie's the man to make it.
Yeah. So. And who would you want to fight? Who have you got in your mind, really? Like, realistically?
I'm not fussed, mate.
Are you not bothered? You just want that City Ground fight?
From the heart. From the heart right now. Yeah, walking out to that. From my heart, in my head, like, I'm not getting beat there. Because not only have I waited all this time to fight there, I don't want to be remembered as the first person to fight there and lose it. And get beat. Not on my watch. Like, I've grafted my arse off to get to this point. I've been through hell and back. I don't want to preach about what I've been through to get here, but like, I've been through a lot. And this is my dream. I'm not bothered if it's Warrington, if it's Cordino, Navarrete, whatever, whoever. I'm not getting beat. I need to win this fight. This is the fight that I'll remember, and my city will remember, my kids and my family will remember for a long time. So.
And if you get that fight, mate, how do you said you only want to fight a few more times? Is the next step after that go to the States, maybe do a big fight?
Yeah, that's it. This could be my last one, or maybe a trip to Vegas after. But it's fight by fight. Like I said that before the last fight. Exactly, that fight's out of the way. Okay, let's focus on this fight, and then after that we'll look at it. But like I said, I don't want to keep fighting once I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve, which is that, and then I'm financially secure, which is already so. Yeah, we'll see fight by fight.
Yeah, and it's great that you got that attitude, mate, because so many people, whether it's boxers or other athletes, they struggle. They have that void to fill when they're finished, and it sounds like you're already going to fill that with motocross. But it's good, you know, like you see so many boxers try to come back, and they just can't find that. They lose that buzz.
I will miss fighting. Like I will want. It's been my life since 12 years old. Like I said, travelled all around the world fighting, and I will miss it. Like more than anything, but I also know that I'd rather miss it than fight too long and tarnish my career or my reputation and fight for money and like risk my health. Like there's so many things that where like I've had my time, like not quite yet, but after this next fight, you know, I can look back and say, look, I've had my time, I've achieved more than I set out to achieve. I've achieved my maximum, what I could have achieved by the time the time is to hang them up. So I won't be bitter. You know, I can say it with a smile on my face that I will miss boxing, but like I said, I've done all right, and I've ticked every box I wanted to tick. So. Just
to finish off, mate, you know, right now is quite a difficult time for everyone, isn't it, mentally? And you talked about being really difficult back in 2014 when you lost that British title and you had to wait a long time to get it back. For people that are out there and they are struggling, right, I think it'd be great to just get just a little piece of advice from you, because you're someone that I sit across from you and I think you're so mentally strong. What would be one piece of advice for anybody that's just struggling at the moment? I know you've talked about like trying to find someone that you can talk to, because that helps. I always say that a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah, for sure.
What would that be, mate?
Yeah, I feel like my mental game is probably my best asset. Mental strength, like it always has been, and just not knowing when to quit. I'll look at something and think of reasons to carry on going instead of reasons to quit.
Right.
So people will look at things, perception, perspective, you could say. My perspective was always like, why 2 instead of why not
Glass
2?
half full.
Yeah, always. And I don't know, it's just the way I view things. It could be anything. It goes back to that bit of delusion. Like, might be saying, I need to be here for a certain time, and I've hit traffic, and it's like, they'll ring me, like, are you going to be on time? Like, I'll look and think there's nowhere. But I'll be like, yeah, I'm bang on time. And I think I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and I think I'm going to make it. But realistically, you know, I'm going to be late. But in my head, I'm not going to be late.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like little things like that, and like it's the same with winning. And like I could have a niggle or an injury. Like I have for many of these last 4 fights, I've had injuries. Like I had a shoulder operation in the October, and I boxed in the March with a 12-week camp. Like my shoulder was bad. Hitting pads was killing me. Sparring wasn't as bad because of the adrenaline, but in my head, I'm like, I'll be sound. Like, just keep going, just keep cracking on, keep cracking on. I was going for excruciating pain for that camp. It wasn't quite right for a long time after. And luckily, that Lara fight got put back, and I got that bit more time because then it was finally all right. But it's just the mindset, you know. But advice to people that haven't quite got that naturally is just like, if you want to do something and you go through things and you don't feel like you're quite going to get there, or something pops up and you think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. The amount of people that question themselves or question like maybe fate, they might question fate a lot. I hear that a lot. Oh, it's just not for me. Well, you make it for you. You keep going until you get there. It's your choice. It's your choice. Like if you quit, you definitely won't get there. But if you keep going and 1 week, 1 day, you look back at all the people that would have quit where you was going to quit last week, and you've gone a week further. So then that number of 1 million people has gone down to 500,000. What about in 3 more weeks? What about in 3 more months? What about in 3 more years? That number's gone down again. You're still progressing. You can quit if you want, but I guarantee you, if you keep going and you keep going through these hurdles and these setbacks and these things where other people would have quit, like, and you keep pursuing, you'll get there.
Amazing. Leigh, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.